movements. The second recommendation that we had actually looks at one of the huge drivers of mass incarceration all over the country, and that is in the pretrial and bail system across the state. So the current money-based rather than risk-based bail system that drives our pretrial detention and release decisions does so at great cost, both in human and financial terms, as well as in public safety outcomes. At the heart of the United States criminal justice system is the principle that someone accused of a crime is innocent until proven guilty. Nevertheless, 60% of those detained in Florida jails, which we talked about with Senator Bradley's proposal too, 35,000 people on any given day are awaiting trial, not convicted of a crime, at an average cost of more than $815 million per year. I'm not suggesting we're going to save $815 million per year. I'm just going to be very clear about that. But it is a lot of money that's invested in that particular population, which has a lot of nuances also. As it stands, current practices related to the pretrial phase of our criminal justice system do not fully promote public safety, fair and equitable treatment of defendants, or the effective use of community resources. It is instead a system based on a defendant's financial resources as opposed to their measured risk. I'm not going to talk about the Constitution, but our Constitution provides a pretty sound framework for the basis of bail decisions, and that is if someone's convicted of or accused of murder, we have a preventive detention ability, so we can keep somebody in there if they're accused of something. Going forward, there's a lot of folks who are there who don't have the money, obviously. And then on the other flip side, there's a lot of people who, simply because they can't afford their bail and might be deemed risk to public safety, serious risk to public safety, can pay their way out. And that's probably the biggest compelling public safety reason to take a look at this. And there are lots of things we can do. Continuing certainly the processes of diversion from folks is great. Citations in lieu of arrest to keep people out of the jail. Don't even have to book them, just have them come to court. Phone calls to remind people of their court dates. But most importantly, we would like to see the implementation of a risk-based assessment across the state and all jurisdictions so that we are arming judges with important decision-making, very scientifically assessed risk-based instruments that can actually drive decision-makings. There's other states that are doing this. New Jersey is probably the most visible and prominent of these. In 2014, under Governor Chris Christie's leadership, they approved an amendment to the state constitution that all but eliminated the use of money bail by permitting, like we already have, preventive detention of dangerous persons, of those who are least likely to appear in court, while also allowing arrested people who are likely to succeed in the community. Keep in mind, many of these folks who are detained pre-trial and aren't released because they can't pay bail will then later get probation. That, to me, is a very illustrative concern. So if we're going to put these people on community supervision anyway, why are we clogging up our jails with them in the pretrial phase? The early results of the New Jersey experiment have been very successful. We've seen a 19% decrease in the total jail population of the state just since January. And when they started these deliberations in 2015, a total increase of 36%, and with no noticeable public safety concerns.
Can I ask a question on that? One of the things we've been talking about is recidivism rates. Mm-hmm. One of the things is if people are they're guilty of crime, they eventually are proven guilty and they get probation, but they've never spent any time, there's never been any immediate kind of consequences to what they've done. They've been found guilty, but it was a crime. Do you have any data that would talk about recidivism rate amongst those people in other states that may have enacted this? Or are they more likely to repeat because there was no immediate consequences, or would it be less likely because they're not incarcerated and they haven't lost their job or other things?
So in general, the immediate destabilizing effects of jail stays within as early as 3 days, you're going to see huge increases in recidivism for people who are detained unnecessarily. So quite the opposite. It's not a punishment. These are folks who haven't been convicted. It's the idea that once you put somebody in a situation where they're losing their job, potentially can't pay rent, so they lose their housing. Those are the things that quickly destabilize people and increase the likelihood that they will return back to the community when they are out, and increase the likelihood of it's like by four times, increase the likelihood that they'll be sentenced to prison, and also to increase the likelihood that there'll be longer sentences also. In part because, there's a lot of things that you're considering when you're looking at somebody who's standing in front of you in an orange jumpsuit as a judge. Does that answer your question? Okay. As the promise of bail reform moves from theory to practice, it is inevitable that objections and debates will arise. You may hear objections to pretrial assessments, allegations about public safety, and even concerns about protecting jobs. What you will not hear, however, is credible evidence showing that money bail is effective in ensuring court appearance or public safety, because there is no evidence of this. Any existing studies claiming to support the efficacy of money bail were discredited in 2012 by a report from the Pretrial Justice Institute. The Bureau of Justice Assistance even went so far as to issue a data advisory warning that the data set upon which most such studies were based was insufficiently detailed for such conclusions. I can share that with any of you who are interested in this. In sum, the contours of pretrial reform may be discussed and debated. The need, if we are serious about addressing Florida's challenges with incarceration, is unequivocal. Our next recommendation would be just continuing the wonderful work that the Secretary